What's up, everybody? It's your boy Duty back again with another video. And that's right, folks, it's your favorite segment, my favorite segment, everyone's favorite segment, where we take a look at the raw total numbers for DSP Gaming and ensure that Phil business is on solid footing. That's right, folks, we take a look at the raw total numbers for the work week. And this time we're actually going to be looking also at the monthly totals and view counts. The reason why is because, of course, Phil's lately has been pushing this false narrative that the business is on solid footing, and we know that's just not true. From the Argentinian detractors and the death of gifted memberships up until, the non-support of new games being released, i.e. Final Fantasy, Tekken 8, you name it. There's no real big playthrough out there that feels making money. The only thing supporting the business right now is Baldur's Gate. And sadly for Phil, Baldur's Gate is coming to an end soon. So he's either going to have to do a second run or find a new game quickly to try to make up for that cash. I'm guessing Star Wars will save the day. So let's take a look at the weekly numbers for the business. And let's get into it. So like I said, the work week was 7 days. It started on the leap day and extended through the 6th. And Phil made a total tip amount of $1,216. Now that's compared to $704 from the previous week. Now again, last week he only worked 5 days, so that can account for some of the difference there. The other thing too is on March 1st, which was the first of the month. Wake up. The Dents got their disability checks in the bank account, and they made sure to come out and throw some cash Phil's way. And he had one excellent day this week. The rest of the days were pretty average. Most days were not good at all with support, but that one day did help make up for the week. So if we also take a look at the super chats for that time period, Phil made $330 compared to what he made last week, which is $592. Now, when we look at the total amount for the year, you're going to see that super chat is what's killing Phil. Super chats and memberships. Now that the Argentinian detractors have all but killed gifted memberships, Phil's in a world of hurt. And for him to sit there and say everything is perfectly fine is bullshit. Now, every once in a while, he'll expose himself for the liar that he is, and actually try to garner sympathy tips by claiming the business is hurting. The other day he did it once Final Fantasy didn't get any traction. He started talking about how the Argentinian detractors essentially have all but killed memberships on his channel. So every once in a while, Phil will tell the truth when he initiates a bedcon. So the weekly totals for the work week, Phil made $1,546 compared to last week where he made $1,296. Now again, don't forget this is for 7 days, so of course the amount is going to be a little higher than normal. This is still lower than average for Phil. I mean, he's not doing good at all, and most of this is just the playthroughs. None of his playthroughs are getting traction. The only thing that seems to be bringing money into the coffers is Baldur's Gate. And I want to take a look a little bit of Baldur's Gate because I find it very interesting that every playthrough Phil does, someone always comes in, some anonymous person or some no-name person I've never seen before drops a $50 tip. Just about on every single fucking playthrough. And of course, whenever that happens, we're pretty certain, we're about 99% sure that it's OIC and as many alter egos dropping that cash on Phil. Either he feels embarrassed that he throws so much cash Phil's way, or he tries to make it seem like Phil has a bigger pool of support than he does. That can also explain the view botting. Many people think that the trolls are doing the view botting, and some people think that one of Phil's dents is doing the view botting to make it look like Phil has a bigger audience and following than he actually does, which is very interesting. Both points have merits. I tend to lean on the side that detractors are potentially view botting him to try to get him in trouble with YouTube. That's just my opinion, but I know a lot of people believe that it's some dent like Canadian Kirk trying to make it seem like Phil's this amazing YouTuber with huge support when he's not. Okay, So let's take a look at the monthly totals. So as we can see here, so far for the month, Phil made $1,404. That is for a little over a week. That's lower than normal. It is. That's less. He's on pace for making less than 4K this month. And again, that's tips and super chats. Now, if we take a look at February, he made $5,245. And again, this is tips and super chats together. And that was a dip from January, where in January he made $5,789. So every month, yet again, you start seeing a dip in support. And that's been the case for 2022, 2023, and 2024. It's just his pattern. Phil loves to talk about how he observes patterns. So does your boy Duty. And the patterns here with numbers tell the truth that DSP Gaming is hurting. It is. And unless he comes up with something new and fresh and interesting, these numbers are just going to continually dwindling. Now, it's difficult sometimes to gauge by money. I mean, many people have a hard time these days. They don't have that kind of disposable income to drop on Phil, and that could be an explanation for why his support has decreased. But again, a view is free. A view doesn't cost you anything. So if these same people that maybe can't support Phil because they just don't have the cash, they can still view his content, right? You would think so. Let's take a look at the numbers here for viewership. Okay. Now, let's not forget here, in February, these numbers are a little inflated for February because the view botting actually started towards the end of February. So I'm thinking this is probably a little bit higher than normal. Now, I know YouTube doesn't count the views, but I'm using Social Blade, and I think Social Blade registers those live views on Phil's streams. So it's slightly high. But if you still compare it between February and January, you see a huge dip. You see a huge dip in views. So for February, Phil got 498,000 views on DSP Gaming. Mind you, this is a channel with over 200,000 subs. And he can't even crack 500,000 views. I mean, this is a low watermark for Phil. I mean, this is a man that used to get millions of views every month on his channel. And now he can barely crack 498,000 views. Now, if we take a look at DSP Reacts, his old channel, he's got 39,000 views. That was from like a high of about 100,000 views when he first started this. He can barely crack 30,000. He averages between 30,000 and 40,000 views on DSP Reacts, which is, that's terrible. I pull that in a day with my views. I pull more than that. I average about 50,000 views a day on my channel per day, and this guy can't even get 40,000 views in a month. Now, if we look at his new channel, DSP Throwback, Phil pulled in 25,000 views for a grand total of 562,000 views in February. And let's not forget, this is slightly inflated, so it's probably really at about 550k views. Now, if we take a look at January was better, but not by much. In January, he had 510,000 views in January. DSP Rack pulled in 43,000 views. And DSP Throwback, which is when he announced his channel, received 37,000 views. But of course, remember, he didn't really ramp up Throwback until February, right? So the lack of interest in these channels is shocking. DSP Throwback is new. This is something that Phil is really counting on to really push his channel. Oh, well, not push his channel, but push his income, and it's just not materializing. So in January, Phil pulled 590,000 views total. This is 3 channels. 3 fucking channels. And he can't even crack. Sorry, I started laughing. He could barely crack 600,000 views. Now, for comparison's sake, your boy Duty has about 15,000 subs, and I pulled in about 1.4 million views a month on one channel, folks. Now, I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I'm just a detractor. I'm just somebody that posts videos making fun of DSP using his content, right? And I make double what he pulls from 3 channels. And if you compare this number, if you actually do a grid, from year over year, it's even worse. I mean, you see what he was doing in 2023 and comparing it to now, 2024, it's just bad. And then March looks even worse. March for DSP Gaming, he's only getting about 16,000 views a day. That's abysmal. I mean, if everything keeps up in March the way it's going now, he's barely gonna crack 500,000 views on his 3 channels total. So why is Duty bringing this up? Well, Phil loves to say, well, views doesn't equate to money. Yes, it does. When it comes to ad revenue, yes, it does. If no one's viewing your content, no one's on stream to support you, no one's on stream to tip you, no one's on stream to give you super chats, no one's on stream to give you super thanks, and no one is giving you ad revenue. So when you say here like an idiot and you say views don't matter, no, they do fucking matter, Phil. They do, because you monetize your content, which means you hope that you get ad revenue, and you hope that that ad revenue adds to your total bottom line. And the less views you have, the less money you have. And yes, views do equate to ad revenue. It does. I'm sorry to tell you, it does. Because the more people watch your content, the more ads you'll get on that content. Right now, Phil, people are watching your content, you get 200 or 300 views. You're lucky if you get one ad on that fucking on that one video. Lucky if you get one ad. So yes, Phil, views do matter, and you really need to start looking at this because your shit is just tanking. Anyway, that's really it for the view counts. Now let's look at the year over year. So far, for 2024, Phil has managed to make $9,503 compared to last year where he made $9,859. So he's getting close. For super chats for 2024, Phil made $2,935. Now this is what I was talking about earlier, the super chats. Last year for the same time period, Phil made $4,046 in super chats. He has almost half. He's making almost less than half of what he was getting last year. For a grand total, of course, if you look at the grand totals, Phil made $12,438 so far. And again, these are super chats and tips, and these are raw numbers. This doesn't include PayPal fees or YouTube fees or whatever. These are just gross numbers. Phil made $12,438, and then last year he made $13,734. So he has a net decrease of income in the first two months, essentially 11%. He's down 11% year over year for income. Now it looks even worse when you compare that to 2022. So again, Phil made $12,438 in 2024. For the same time period in 2022, Phil made $19,117. So he is net negative 35%. He made 35% less in 2024 than he did in 2022. That, folks, is the epitome of a failure. Yes, 10 years of failure is true. Turkey Tom hit it on the nail. And it's just going to get worse. These numbers are going to get worse. Can you imagine what this shit's going to look like in April, May, June, when there are no fucking real games out there? God, Phil's going to have to do throwback, react content every day. That and maybe play Baldur's Gate for a second run. He's going to have to become the Baldur's Gate streamer that we know he hates, because I don't see anything else out there that's going to help this guy out. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out.